Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to another Mechabellum gameplay review. Today I've got a game for you guys between Scey and SaraTzch, two of the very best players on the Mechabellum server, which featured unusual pushing tactics and creative unit carries. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Scey here decides to start out with Rhino Specialist, Fangs and Phoenixes. And SaraTzch, I believe, picks up Supply Specialist with Fang Sledges. Could also have gone for Quick Supply Marksman Sledges. A very strong combo, but decides to go for something else. Both players starting out with the Fangs, and I believe both will pick up, actually, 2 sets of Crawlers in addition. Sometimes you might see Arc Lights being picked up here on this side, but deciding instead to go for the early Chaff. Relatively popular strat nowadays to first establish a good base of chaff and then build your units around that. Also gives you a bit of time to perhaps see what your opponent might do and decide on what you want to supplement your comp with. Scey decides to go aggressive here on the right side, whereas SaraTzch goes even, symmetrical setup. And with the sledges, I imagine that the sledges will be better off dealing with chaff than the phoenixes. But Fang's only thing on the board able to deal with phoenixes. So if they somehow die, that means that Scey will be able to pick up a quick win. And with that being said, let's get into the first round. Over here, chaff is being dealt with relatively quickly by the sledges. More or less expected, and that means that these fangs can now start targeting the phoenixes and likely will result in a win on round 1 for SaraTzch. Left side, completely open. Only 1 pack of fangs was left there by Scey just to try and delay a quick tower take, but with the debuff and everything being gone, phoenixes get taken out, and that means SaraTzch deals the first blow. Cards being offered here, 2 immediate decent options, I think. Haste module definitely very strong on sledges, so good pickup for SaraTzch. Shield airdrop, the other one that definitely is valuable, and yep, picked up here by Scey. 50 credits for a 50,000 HP shield is very, very good value for money, especially considering the regular shield generators only have 40,000 HP, cost double, and cannot be placed on any portion of the enemy map. This can be used to try and go for creative flanks, and very quick round by both players here. Some fangs immediately being upgraded, as well as a pack of phoenixes picked up to deal with the enemy phoenixes by SaraTzch. And on the flank here, we see that Scey decided to start flanking with an arc light. Interestingly, did not use the shield on the flank, which is also a solid possibility, but believes in trying to protect his units as much as possible, and this might actually get a lot of value. Phoenixes are getting stuck on the fangs, and even though the phoenix is outside the shield, that means it is safe from any fire. We'll have to see how this proceeds. Arclight now finally worked through the tower, does get the tower debuff. And finally, the phoenix does get taken out, meaning that SaraTzch picks up round 2 as well. Scey immediately picks up Nano Repair Kit, and so does SaraTzch. Good option on a lot of units, and very sensible for Scey, considering he is Rhino Specialist and now has access to his level 2 Rhino. Strong item on Rhinos, Nano Repair Kit, so it makes sense. And on the other side, we have sledges being given this item as well. Definitely gets very strong once you start leveling your sledges. Some good early and cheap items here being picked up. Arc lights have been purchased for Scey. I guess trying to deal with the huge amount of chaff on the side of SaraTzch as much as possible. And picks up some more fangs himself. On the right side, we now actually have also a pack of fangs being added to this flank. Although with the phoenixes on this side and these still having to spawn in, I think both these sledges and the crawlers will turn around. Looks like they're closer. Yep, they will. So first round here with the flank won't work out. Most of the fangs will die before they spawn. Does, however, create a decent distraction. A lot of units being pulled towards the side. Rhino, unfortunately, dies very quickly to the high-level sledges with haste module, as well as phoenixes. But phoenixes, because all these units got pulled towards the side, able to take out the turret, and with the debuff, this might just work out for Scey. Couple of small units still left alive, and distracting this phoenix. It's shooting at everything except the enemy phoenixes, and still Scey's phoenixes able to stay safe on the back lines, and meaning that he does pick up round number 3. Now we enter round 4. Advanced firepower control system being offered. Really strong item, but top supply on round 4, very powerful. If this is not picked up for either of the players, they'll have to try and close it out quickly, because in the long run, gaining these 150 additional supplies each round is going to create such a massive economic advantage. Incendiary bomb could have some value, but it's only one round, and Scey actually picks up the advanced firepower control system. And Vulcan now being dropped. Okay. It does make sense considering the amount of chaff on the other side. Phoenixes should theoretically be able to deal with the sledges, especially if they're equal level. But this is a high damage Vulcan all of a sudden. Normally they will struggle against anything other than chaff, but perhaps they'll be able to do something with the 200% increased attack they now have. On the other side, even more sledges being picked up. And I believe even more crawlers as well. Right side here just being left as is. Scey decides not to invest much more. The pull might just be enough value, to be honest. Creating a big open space here on the right side, and perhaps a stray bullet from one of the phoenixes might take out the tower. And the Vulcan on this side is doing great work. Already top on damage this turn. Rhino also manages to survive now with the help of his fiery buddy. And as the towers go down, phoenixes are unable to deal with these very tanky units. And that is a very convincing round. That is a very convincing round. Vulcan pointing up its flamethrowers to the sky. Wishes that he could target aerial units, but alas, not a possibility. Ooh, we get Ion Blast. Could be very powerful, but Scey instead decides to go for Charge Demo. We'll have to see if Sara decides to match. I'm not sure Orbital is that good for Sara here. Units are quite dispersed, and some fast units that likely won't be targeted. And the big units will often not be bothered all that much by it. Actually decides to pick up Improved Stormcaller. So range decreased by 20, but attack is increased by 50 and HP by 400%, as well as being 5 meters a second faster. Interesting choice. You don't see this very often, but against a rush you don't really need the range, so the increased attack definitely beneficial. Immediately picks them up at level 2 as well. Scey, by the way, decided to pick up another Vulcan with charge demo and gave his Vulcan some range. Sledges, by the way, still have no upgrades. And this Vulcan, level 2 now, has been upgraded. Absolutely crushing the left side. Tanky enough to withstand fire from the Phoenixes for quite some time. But with this salvo, yeah, does go down. And on the right side, things are also looking better. Stormcallers, top on damage this very turn. So definitely a solid pickup there for Sara. And good use of the cards they were offered. Okay, we can speed up things here as the Stormcallers take down the final units on Scey's side of the board. Ion Blast back again, Tech Specialist, probably a bit too late for that. Both players trying to end the round within 1 or 2. And Mobilized Battleship, not as good anymore ever since the spawned units only deal a quarter of their full-fledged damage. Sara decides to go for ranged spec. So does believe that this is somewhat valuable. Tries, I guess, to get back some of the range lost on the improved Stormcallers, as well as keeping their Phoenixes slightly safer. And Scey deciding to go for a big round here. Uses the Ion Blast. Will reach just about across to the other side. We'll have to see if the Ranger saves the Stormcallers or whether or not they will drive into it. And we see on Sara's side really a big focus on economy and value, getting the range, getting top supply, which is now starting to ramp up and take effect. And on the other side, we have Scey going more so for high value items and trying to end very quickly. Still, we have no other flanks apart from the one that was, I think, initiated on round number 2. Phoenixes have been given range. Stormcallers have been given launch or overload, so even reducing the range furthermore, which is probably why the ranged spec is necessary. But, oh, they do drive into... They do drive into the beam, and those are some level 3 Stormcallers burning up to the Ion Beam there. Very well positioned by Scey. Gets huge value out of that. And remember, those were the main damage dealers for the last round. I mean, even this round, still up to 30k in that small period of time. But Phoenixes, with the additional range, able to take out the turrets. And looks like the Ion Beam had enough of an effect to be able to take the round. Sara down to below 400 hit points, so really has to answer the problems that she's facing. Although we could say that it was also somewhat due to the active. Scey deciding to go for Senior Attack Specialist as well. This Vulcan beefed up 600, upgraded to level 3 now as well. 900 attack almost. Unheard of. This is basically a melting point at this stage. Sara decides to pick up a couple more Phoenixes and now also decides to give him range, because even though she did have range specialist, the Phoenixes on the other side were outranging. Rhino level 3. Trying to go for the tower there. And Sara, by the way, decides to invest in quite a few sentry missiles. Believes that taking out the chaff is worth it to try and make all of her units target the big boys. Range picked up, speed picked up. Flank also dealt with a sentry missile, by the way. And this will come down to whether or not the Vulcans can carry on this side. Although this time no Ion Beam and all the chaff is gone. With this many Phoenixes still left alive, as well as the Stormcallers, this might look like a Sara round to me. And yep, level 3 Vulcan does go down. Final Phoenixes also taken out by the opponent's Phoenixes. And Scey now also being sent down to around 400 hit points. So we get one more round as we enter round number 8. Amp Core, definitely a strong item on Giants, but Nuke on a round that is likely going to be the final one, sometimes pretty much mandatory, but Scey decides to skip, doesn't believe in the nuke, and instead believes in the War Factory. Decides to go for the new Missile Interceptor tech, which is really powerful, especially with AMs becoming less efficient. And Sara doesn't have all that many AMs, just has quite high level, high damage ones. So this might work out, but we'll have to see how much this nuke will be able to do, because if all of these units die to the nuke, that would spell disaster. Also, does have access to the shield airdrop, by the way. Okay, decides to shield the Vulcan here on the right. Sara, by the way, picked up Quantum Reassembly, trying to make as much use of the Phoenixes as possible. Perhaps if some of them get taken out on the right side. Okay, Nuke does go off and does good damage to both the War Factory and the Vulcan, but they're so huge that it doesn't even matter. They're still alive, and the War Factory actually sitting at like 60% HP is just chilling. Shrugs off the nuke like it was nothing, and doesn't even really get targeted here by the Phoenixes. And let's see, Quantum Reassembly starting to do some work. Couple of Phoenixes respawning, but not in time, not quite. Oh, one on the left. Oh, not quite for Sara there. And that means Scey is able to take the win on round number 8. Exciting stuff. Really cool gameplay. I think it shows a couple of good concepts whenever you go for pushes. Trying to go for a flank early on is definitely something that is valuable. Pushing and pulling away the units, and potentially at some point might annoy the opponent so much that they decide to invest into sentry missiles, which gives you an economic lead. So definitely good use of the flank there. Creative use of the items for sure. Advanced firepower control system, high-level Vulcans as carries is definitely not something that you see very often, but this is one of the situations where it did work out. And I would like to commend Sara as well for finding the improved Stormcaller card and making it work rather well up to a certain point. And then the answer came in, of course, with the War Factory. Now a strong answer to Stormcallers with the Missile Interceptor tech. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this gameplay commentary. If you did, feel free to give a like, subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all my latest content, leave a comment, and with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.